We spoke about Brad Johnson. He had some good things to say on Sports Day, filling in
Just saw him.
for. Did you?
He's in the house.
Filling in for Kane Corns. He was speaking about Isaac Rankin, of course, the Adelaide Crows boom recruit, the highest paid Crow ever, they tell me, but how would anyone know?
Ever.
They just guess.
Higher than you?
Well, how would anyone know?
I think Rankin's on about 900, reportedly.
Well, how do you know?
And you're on about 850,
How do you know?
875.
How do you know?
Because you told me.
No, I didn't.
You said 875 for 5 years.
I beg your pardon. This is Brad Johnson speaking on Isaac Rankin.
Unless Isaac Rankin can start breaking a barrier of endurance, which we haven't seen yet, then there's no way he can spend a lot of time in the midfield. He can go in there and pinch hit and maybe add a spark to run forward out of stoppage, but he's not going to work defensively yet. I think and I've said this all along, these players that have been forwards their whole lives and then they go, I'm going to be a midfielder. It takes specialist coaching to do this. I'm big on this. You know that he needs to be trained over a 12-month period to learn all aspects of it. And part of that will be in game for moments, but a lot of it's in training. So when you release an Isaac Rankin into a midfield, he's in there for good minutes for serious impact.
Strong from Jono.
Wasn't it?
Haven't heard him that passionate for a while since the golf cart ran him over.
Now, I've sort of been of the view that, so Rankin and Rochelle, right? Two incredibly talented young men, two forwards first, maybe midfielders second, right? Maybe.
Yeah.
But because there is so much capital invested in the Adelaide forward line, right? So forget Tex Walker because, he's a veteran. But let's go Fogarty, first round draft pick. I think he was pick 12. Rochelle picked 5 or 6. Rankin, traded a lot for him and a lot of money for him. Tilthorpe, pick 2. That is a lot.
Riley, Tilthorpe.
That is a lot invested in your forward line. If you are, and that's well and good. It could be a very dangerous forward line, but if you can't get it to them, they're going to get cold.
It's funny, they've spent you mentioned the draft picks, and then they've got this plethora of midfielders that are 180.
Small and the same.
Small and
good
do the
tacklers,
same thing.
try very hard.
Battlers.
Great effort.
But no real class.
My thing is, Rankin doesn't have to be a midfielder, but he has to be a forward who comes up to a stoppage to be dangerous. Now, Adelaide play that spitter, as they term it in the AFL, that extra forward who comes up, he might start on the defensive side of a stoppage and burst through there with speed. That's got to be Rankin. That's got to be Rankin. That's got to be Rochelle, because you've got a lot of money and capital invested in these guys. And you know what the Adelaide landscape's like as well as I do. If Rankin comes to town on X amount of money and he has 2 out of his first 3 games where he has 8 touches and doesn't kick a goal, or he has 8 touches and a goal, all of a sudden the pressure, the weight of the world will be on him.
Yeah.
So help him help the team. He doesn't have to play 8-minute bursts in the midfield. Just put him up around the ball and let him spit forward. And it's not...
It's the best role to play in footy.
But it's also one of the most important roles. Dustin Martin did it. Christian Petrarca has done it. Dangerfield did it. If it's good enough for them and those teams who are all premiership teams, it's got to be good enough for teams down the bottom. Yeah, I know you want to teach a bit of defensive systems, and when we haven't got it, we've got to run the other way. But if it's good enough for the best teams, it's got to be good enough for the teams down the bottom.
Generally, Adelaide have been quite strong in the contested
Very.
side of their game. So that has been a real focus on them in their development. Now they have to work on bringing that outside class and the layers into the game.
The sizzle. We need the sizzle.
Yeah, we need Rod out there for a bit of sizzle.
We've got it here. They need it out there.
But I think in time, Isaac Rankin has to be their number 1 midfielder. Does he not? If they're paying him that sort of money, you can't be getting paid. And even if it is sort of 700, if you're getting paid that much money, you can't be a flash in the pan forward. You've got to be involved in the game.
Score involvements
80% of the time.
Involvements for him will be crucial.
But when you're playing against the better sides, they don't tend to. And you're going to worry about Dustin Martin. You're going to worry about Christian Petrarca. You're going to worry about Dangerfield. But do you think that Isaac Rankin is at that level if he comes to a stoppage that the better teams will just rearrange their backline for a spare and make it even harder for Adelaide to score?
Maybe. but I think it's worth trying to find out. You got to try and the alternative is leaving him 30 metres out from goal and having 30 entries and not getting him.
Well, I think the
kick.
alternative is to play him 60% in the midfield to build that tank and build the running patterns. And the hardest thing that he's going to find is defending and switching from offense to defense because he hasn't done that as a forward. You don't have to do
Not natural.
that as a forward. So, and I know it's might be somewhat hypocritical of me to say that because I didn't do it a lot
Oh, me as well.
in my career as a midfielder. But you have to defend and you have to switch from offense to defense straight away, or else guys will get at the back, and you'll find out how hard you have to work as a 60 to 70% midfielder. So I think there are a number of options for him. I like the squirter role because it's all out and he can just think about what he's doing. It's one of the best roles to play because there's not a lot of accountability for you and you can just go and chase the footy, get involved in stoppage. So maybe start there, but I'd like to see him spend a fair few minutes in the midfield too as a grunt player.
It's going to be fascinating to see how Adelaide make it work and how he makes it work. So Isaac Rankine, certainly one of the players to watch of 2023.